My 23 female sister, 14 female, is too obsessed with my boyfriend, 23 male. So my sister has an unhealthy obsession with my boyfriend. She makes up any excuse to touch him. She says she can't find her phone and touches his thighs to check his pockets. Sometimes she jumps on him and says she saw a spider, and then conveniently, the spider disappears when we search for it. Sometimes when me and her are fighting, she falls on my boyfriend who is sitting next to me. He often looks uncomfortable around her. She constantly wants his attention and she's always telling him how good-looking he is. Last week, she accidentally left her door open when she was changing and my boyfriend was near the room. He handled it well fortunately, he looked away immediately and said, "Your door's open." Whenever we go into my bedroom, she'll find excuses to barge in. She'll complain that she's lonely, and wants the three of us to hang out, but only has this desire when she sees that we've gone into my bedroom. I went into her room yesterday to retrieve my makeup and saw her Instagram was open. I noticed that one of the chats had pictures of my boyfriend in it, which is why I read it. She was sharing pics of him with her friend. And these were candid pics of him that he clearly wasn't aware were being taken. Standing in our kitchen, napping on the couch, and even one of him on the street. Like honestly, what the fuck? He's been firm enough when shutting her down, but she continues to do it. He's been trying to distance himself from her though, like he didn't show up to her birthday, etc. But none of it is working. I too have told her to stop being inappropriate with him, but she didn't stop. We've been together for over 4 years now, which may be why she might be a little too comfortable around him. But she's been crossing so many boundaries lately, and something has to be done. Unfortunately, my boyfriend has done most of the shutting down of her so far. He shouldn't even have to be in this position and I feel bad for him. So I have decided to have a long one-to-one conversation with her about boundaries, so I can hopefully deal with this without troubling him any further. Do you think that's the right move, or should he also be a part of this conversation? Too long did not read. My sis acts inappropriately around my BF. Both of us have told her to stop, but she continues. I plan on having a longer convo with her about it, and I think I'll handle it myself so I don't bother him any more than he's already been bothered. Is that the right move? That's the right move. He does not need to be in this conversation, it should be a sis-to-sis kind of conversation. It's somehow natural for your sister to have a crush on your older, hot boyfriend, but she's definitely crossing boundaries. This is one of the cringe things everyone does as they are going through puberty. I'm not a psychologist or anything, but definitely talk to her about it and say it's out of bounds, but don't take it too seriously. She'll think back about herself and cringe at her behavior probably for the rest of her life. And why hasn't the idea of no contact crossed your mind? She obviously doesn't respect you or him, no matter how many talks you have with her, so why do you let her continue being around? I can't help but wonder if I would feel differently if a 14-year-old brother had an innocent crush on his older brother's girlfriend. How would it feel to read he was taking pictures of her and sharing them with his friends? Unfortunately, I think I would take that more seriously than this young girl doing it. Which is awful, both are equally wrong. She needs to be lectured on consent, personal space, and making people uncomfortable. Seriously. She's 14, not 10. Your sister is a creep. I hope she grows out of it. NTA, your sister is basically sexually harassing and assaulting him. She is 14, so where are your parents? I think you and they need to talk to her, and it might be good if he is involved too, because otherwise just you and parents might be seen to her as just trying to keep her from her crush. Your sister is creepy. Granted, she is 14 and the hormones are raging, but that is no excuse, it's called self-control. This pissed me off to read. I feel bad for your boyfriend. You're going to do her a mad favor by shutting this down. She's being super rapey and inappropriate. For God's sake, shush is touching his thighs. Sexual assault much? At 14 it's seen as not that big of deal, teenage stuff, but if you don't put a complete halt to this, she is going to be a dumpster fire in about 10 years. If the roles were reversed and it was your younger brother touching by your girlfriend crotch and exposing himself to your girlfriend, he would probably get his ass kicked, just saying. Also, after the talk, your boyfriend should avoid her like a hot mess. I would be worried she would lie, make up accusations, etc. At least until things calm down, but neither of you should trust her until she shows some maturity. Involve your parents. That should ruin her vibe for sure. Are there no parents in this situation? This deserves a stern talking to. What other move is there? Just make sure whatever you do, you stick to the penalties you set for when she crosses any boundaries. If that's you both leave, then make sure you do it every time. Maybe then she will learn. So I have decided to have a long one-to-one conversation with her about boundaries, so I can hopefully deal with this without troubling him any further. Do you think that's the right move, or should he also be a part of this conversation? I think the message would go over better coming from a parent. To her, you may be the person standing in the way of her one true love. You could be seen to be acting jealous, or she could convince herself that you're just jealous after the talk. If one or both parents, guardians approaches her before you do, then they can teach her about boundaries in general and give her a glimpse of how a third party views her creepy fucking actions. You sound perfectly objective about it. I just think she will get the message better if it comes from someone else. Sounds like you live at home with your parents. Where is your mother, father in all this? Have they talked to your sister? What do your parents think of all this? Maybe teach her about consent and touching first. It's gonna have to be a hard, straightforward chat of, I know, BF, is a great guy, and you've known him for years and feel comfortable around him, so I can understand how you might have developed some feelings, but your behavior is making him very uncomfortable and it is becoming an embarrassing situation for all of us. We both love you, but if you can't change your behavior and start acting appropriately, he's not going to be able to be around you anymore until you get past this. Does he live in the same home as your sister? If not, then maybe you should stop bringing him over until she grows out of this. Meet at his place instead. Maybe you should move out. Yeah. You guys need to not meet at your house anymore. Does he have a place? Lives with his parents too. Perfect. Go there. I have been on Reddit way too long. I feel like this could eventually be bad news. You both just need to remove yourselves from any situation having to do with her. The end. It might be a good idea to let distance be a factor. Maybe spend time at his place, and spend time away from your house. Go on dates to a park. The lake doesn't have to cost money, but the point is create space and distance. Might give her a chance to focus on a boy more age appropriate. You don't have to tell her this though. She needs her attention diverted and he needs to be to not constantly have to fend her off just to visit. Thank God your boyfriend is sensible. Some other guy might take advantage of your sister with how she behaves. Remember that her emotions are hormonally based and her puberty brain is drenched in it. You'll have the talk but feelings won't go away overnight. Have the talk sis to sis. Then escalate by bringing your parents in if need be later. Minimize your boyfriend's time around her. I recommend that he always refer to her as a kid, or other child diminutive. She wants him to see her as an adult, referring to her as a child should help with that. You're jealous of your little sister? Relax dude. Sounds like a normal teenage girl crush. Where the hell is her boyfriend? I'm sure he would shut that shit down. I think your sister is trying to replace you. If she had stolen your makeup, who knows what she'll do next. You and your boyfriend had made boundaries she had broken. Judging from her behavior, I think your sister has daddy issues. If that's the case, what happened to your father? This is like that Saved by the Bell episode where Kelly's little sister is in love with Zach. The obvious solution is what he tried. Have your boyfriend dress up and act like a nerd to try to repel her. You're welcome. You need to tell your parents. They need to tell her what appropriate and inappropriate communication and touching is. Her having a crush is totally normal at that age. How she is handling it isn't. I'd go outside the home to hang out with your boyfriend from now on. It may not be economically feasible or out of your culture, but moving out and getting your own place would probably solve 99% of your problems with her. 4 years. Both of you need to find a place of your own too. One-on-one with sister, and if she doesn't back off you need to speak to your parents. It sucks to have to involve them from a sister bong perspective, but they also need to parent their child when needed. Update us on what happens, what she says please. That's absolutely the right move. Explain to her that she is a child now and she's not legally expected to have a fully formed sense of consent and boundaries, but that she is old enough to know better. Both you and your boyfriend have explicitly told her to stop. If the power dynamics were different here, this would be the type of clear-cut sexual harassment that should and could get someone expelled, fired, etc., for the safety of others. It's unacceptable behavior, full stop. It's not cute. It's not a game. At 14, she may not fully understand how inappropriate this is in terms of ages. That being said, at 14, I think most people know it's not okay to flirt with someone that is involved with someone else, especially one's own sibling. Raging hormones or not. You are her sister. Will she be doing this to her friends later on too? On the one hand, I can see how him not being there would be fine. On the other, your sister should probably hear it from him and you to knock it the fuck off. She needs to be rejected basically, as painful as that'll be. Definitely gotta sit her down and explain those boundaries and why it's not appropriate. Going through puberty and such, a lot of teens get crushes on older people. It's best to shut it down ASAP. One day she will be thankful that he's not a creepy weirdo, because there are a lot of them out there that would take advantage of a teenager lusting on him, and that's something she would look back on and regret. This is the right move. Then try and hang out somewhere else for a while. Keep a bit of distance. I'm glad you're having the serious one-on-one with her, and regardless of how that goes, it might be best to give your boyfriend a break and hang out at his place for a while. She is young and is finding het sexuality, but unfortunately for you and your boyfriend, her hormones are directed on him. It is going to be a very delicate one-to-one conversation with her, as you don't want to embarrass her or make her feel bad about puberty and growing up. You do need to set boundaries with her. Is your mum or a nana not able to run interference with your sister when she gets a little needy with your boyfriend? Can you not spend time at his place, just to take the pressure off from him for a while? I would also talk to the parents. They should know in case something happens. Yeah, you need to shut it down. Honestly, if I was him, I would feel so uncomfortable at your place and wondering why you don't stand up for me. Where are your parents in all of this? They should be talking to her about her behavior too. Crushes come and go for younger teenagers, but your sister has certainly taken thifts too far. It might be a good idea for you and your boyfriend to hang out less at your house for a little while. It's time to bring up the problem with your parents. I would make sure she knows her behavior is creepy and unwanted. She needs a no means no conversation. Sit down and talk, sis to sis. Warn her that if this continues on, you are going to tell your parents. She is old enough to understand consent. She needs to know it is not okay to touch him without his consent. Talk with her and your parents. A 14-year girl shouldn't be stalking a 23-year guy. There is something wrong with her, which could attract guys with bad intentions. Go to his home and public places from now on. Removing him from her home and events could help her calm down and move on. She's very young, but this probably is a good time. Help her learn that just because she's a girl doesn't mean she can freely touch boys. Also, any hope of you moving out? Half these issues are due to you sharing a roof. I think your parents need to be the ones to have the conversation. Talk to them first, and then have them talk to her. She's a kid and you're not her parent or her peer. Your boyfriend probably needs to stay away from your house and your sister until this is sorted out, for his own protection. She's going to be hurt and she's going to lash out, and there are a lot of ways this could be really bad for him. Your boyfriend shouldn't have any interactions with her at all if she can't respect boundaries. Can't her parents deal with this? Perhaps she'd listen more to them if she hasn't listened to you already. Definitely don't involve your boyfriend.